Hi, I'm Marie, and this video is a quick overview of Christian Science, which was established in America in the 19th century by Mary Baker Eddy. It is practiced around the world. The Bible is the basis of the religion. However, a book written by Eddy is also studied, Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures. And I have with me Cheryl Peterson, who has researched and studied the Bible and science and health extensively. Cheryl, hi.
Hello, Marie. Hello, everyone.
So, Cheryl, the Bible is the common religious book, but can you give me a brief history of science and health?
Yeah. But first, let's just think about the history and timeline. Mary Baker Eddy was always a Christian, and about midlife, she discovered the new old practice of spiritual healing and wrote down her thoughts. That was the beginning of Science and Health. Her book was being read by the public. Readers were more than interested in healing, and so Eddy started teaching classes on what she finally dubbed Christian or divine science. People learn how to heal spiritually, using Christ Jesus as the master example.
So didn't a church eventually come about?
Yes, as part of the infrastructure to advance divine science and its healing element, Mary Baker Eddy started a church. I know it's hard to believe in the 21st century, but churches were the fad in the 19th century. Starting a church was a form of communication back then. Now we have spiritual online forums or retreats to go to. The book Science and Health, though, is independent of the religious organization. Eddy wrote a church manual for guidance to the church organizations.
Huh, interesting. Okay, then separating the organizations from the religion, what makes Christian Science different from other religions?
Good question. Let's start with the similarity. Christian Science agrees with the primary objective of religion to acknowledge or understand one God as the supreme power, greater and above the human ego. As far as a difference, one of the most amazing and unique elements of Christian Science is its emphasis on the unreality of sickness, limitation, disorder, and so on. God did not create what we call evil. The algorithm of Christian Science begins and ends with one good spirit, a spiritual universe and coexistence with that one spirit, reflecting health, holiness, and harmony.
So how does the system heal?
God heals, and I guess probably the best way to put it is divine science is a mental practice. Many thinkers realize the power of thought. Religious and non-religious people are pursuing spiritual healing today. Even the hard and soft sciences are finally collecting evidence of the power of thought, because what we see and hear physically is directly related to our thoughts. Divine science focuses on spiritual thoughts of life, truth, and love, because they have been found to heal mind and body.
And this must be where science comes in. We learn to understand instead of only believe through research, study, experimentation, and conclusion.
That's a good way to put it, Marie. And we all can be scientists of the healing mind. Mary Baker Eddy realized she didn't originate divine science. She admitted many people practice spiritual healing successfully. In fact, her connection to the Bible proves a healing God is alive and well in all time periods.
What are the views on baptism?
Baptism, well, external exhibitions of our commitment to or worship of God are not as important as our internal commitments. I wouldn't get any closer to God by being dunked in a baptismal pool than I would if I went to Dunkin' Donuts. Baptism is the immersion of my thought in the one Spirit, love.
What about the relationship between Christ Jesus and God?
Jesus said, "The Father is greater than I." Spirit and spirituality is greater than humanity. That statement also implies Jesus is not God. Infinite spirit cannot deconstruct or divide itself and go into a finite piece of flesh. Jesus also said, "Before Abraham was, I am." Or in other words, our immortal identity has existed forever. Christ signifies the immortal identity. Then Jesus said, "I and my Father are one." The Christ Spirit is one with God. Our spiritual identity is one with God.
Nice. Oh, you revised Science and Health, of course. I understand why. To update the terminology and content. In fact, Mary Baker Eddy revised her book hundreds of times during her lifetime. What edition are you on?
Well, Marie, I am on the 4th edition, and more to come. The revision, 21st Century Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures, did not change Christian Science, but the concepts are no longer buried in outgrown language and references. You don't have to be a 19th century history buff to understand divine science. The laws of God work just as well in this technological, fast-moving, high-powered era as it did when people were using steam engines and the telegraph.
It seems to me 21st century Science and Health makes clear that anyone can understand how to heal like Christ Jesus. That it doesn't matter what your religious background is, you can still read and understand and practice successfully divine science and its healing element.
That has been my experience, Marie. 21st Century Science and Health and Christian Science are open to any seeker of truth.
Thank you.
You're welcome.